M demanded I pay $800 in rent, so I kicked her out, along with her 2 freeloading kids, and took back the $1,200,000 house my grandparents had secretly left to me. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up overnight. Thank you for all the support and recognition. I'll try to answer questions in the comments when I can. And to everyone saying this is fake, I honestly wish it was, lol. Yes, I have proof, but no, I'm not posting it because of legal reasons. Edit 2. For anyone wondering, I'm 22 female, my dad is 46 male, my stepmother Rachel is 43 female, my stepbrother Tyler is 25 male, and my stepsister Kayla is 21. And yes, those are not their real names for obvious reasons. Okay, buckle up, because this is going to be a long one. Seriously, grab popcorn or something, because there is a lot to unpack here. I've been holding this in for weeks, and I just need to get it off my chest. Some background information is needed first, and trust me, it matters later. I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 8. It sucked, obviously, but we got through it. My father, however, was completely destroyed. He could barely function for most of that first year. By the way, my mother's parents are actual saints. They stepped up in a huge way. They practically moved in with us to help take care of me while my father dealt with his grief and tried to keep his business running. Quick note about the house situation, because this becomes very important later. My grandparents were pretty well off. Not insanely rich, but comfortable enough to buy this huge 4-bedroom house in one of the nicer areas of Boston. The plan was that we would all live together so they could properly help raise me. And honestly, that worked really well for a while. But then my father met Rachel. Not her real name, but honestly, it fits her perfectly, lol. He met her at a business conference in Chicago about 2 years after my mother died. He was there to expand his consulting business or whatever, and she was working as an event coordinator. According to him, they just clicked. Rachel must have seen an opportunity with a grieving widower who owned his own business, because she basically moved across the country to be with him after knowing him for only about 3 months. And to everyone's surprise, they got married 6 months after meeting. Talk about red flags. Here's where the fun begins. Rachel brought her 2 kids with her. Tyler, now 25, was 11 years old at the time and already a spoiled brat. Kayla, now 21, was 7 years old and wasn't too terrible at first. But Rachel slowly turned her into a mini version of herself. My grandparents tried to be kind about it, but I overheard them late at night talking about how they didn't trust Rachel. They thought she was only after my dad's money. Plot twist. They were right. But they stayed quiet for my dad's sake, because he seemed happy for the first time since my mom died. The first few years were tough. Rachel started small with her nonsense comments about how the house was decorated. Old-fashioned. It wasn't. How the kitchen needed updating. It didn't. And how my grandparents were stuck in their ways. But then she got braver. She started moving furniture without permission. She threw out some of my mom's old decorations, claiming they were collecting dust. And little by little, she started taking over the house. My grandparents were too nice to say anything. And my father was too love-struck to notice. Then the chores started. At first, it seemed normal that everyone should help around the house, right? Except everyone became just me. Tyler was always too busy with sports. He was terrible at basketball, but Rachel still had my dad pay for private coaching anyway. Kayla was too young, even though she was only 1 year younger than me. By the time I was 12, I was doing most of the cooking and most of the cleaning. Rachel would literally check the baseboards with her finger to see if I had dusted properly. Meanwhile, Tyler's room smelled like a mix of Axe body spray and old pizza. And Kayla's floor was constantly covered in clothes she was supposedly going to put away. Here's the truly important part, which I didn't know until recently. Grandma died in 2019 from heart problems, and Grandpa died just 3 months later because he couldn't live without her. They had registered the house in my name, legally. It was mine, all mine. They must have seen this drama coming from a mile away and wanted to protect me, but I had no idea. Nobody told me. Dad knew, but I guess he didn't think it was necessary to mention. Spoiler. It was very necessary. Rachel clearly didn't know either, or she would have tried to get her name on the deed somehow. So for the last few years, I had basically been living like a servant in my own house. Cooking, cleaning, washing everyone's laundry, yes, including Tyler's disgusting gym clothes. While Rachel sat on her ass watching Real Housewives and complaining about how I loaded the dishwasher wrong. Tyler graduated from college 2 years ago. Barely. To be honest, I'm pretty sure Dad paid someone off, and he hasn't worked since. He says he's trying to become a content creator, but his TikTok has only about 200 followers, and it's mostly just him doing awful dance moves badly. Kayla is in her 3rd year of college, supposedly studying business. But really, she's just partying and posting pretty Instagram pictures of her Starbucks cups. Dad pays for everything. Her apartment near campus, which she barely uses because she is usually at home. Her car, which she has crashed twice. And her credit cards, which she maxes out every month. And there I was, working part-time at Starbucks, taking online classes, doing all the housework, and trying to save money because Rachel kept hinting that I needed to start contributing to the household. The day everything went down started like any other bad day in my house. I had just finished an 8-hour shift at Starbucks. Some customer yelled at me over almond milk. But that's another story. And I was tired. But of course, I still had to come home and make dinner. Because apparently Tyler couldn't get out of his gaming chair and Kayla couldn't put down her phone. I'm in the kitchen making this spaghetti recipe I found on TikTok, not gonna lie, and Rachel walks in wearing one of her supposedly fancy dresses. I'm pretty sure it came from Ross, but whatever. She has this look on her face that you recognize instantly, like when a teacher catches you passing notes in class. Yes, that one. She sits down at the kitchen island and watches me closely while I cook. I'm already on edge because she always finds something to complain about in my food. Last week, there was too much garlic, which is basically impossible. The week before that, it was too spicy. Then she drops the bomb. We need to have a serious discussion about your living situation. I'm like, what living situation? I have been here longer than you, lady. But she keeps going. Your father and I have been talking, and we believe it's time you started paying rent. After all, you're working now, so it isn't fair for you to live here for free while we cover all your bills. Y'all. This woman's nerve. I'm genuinely standing there, wooden spoon in hand, sauce probably burning, trying to process this nonsense. Meanwhile, I can hear Tyler upstairs yelling about his KD ratio and Call of Duty, and Kayla's TikTok sounds are coming from the living room. So I ask her, trying not to raise my voice because I'm petty, but I'm not stupid. What about Tyler and Kayla? Are they paying rent too? She does this thing where she dabs her mouth with a handkerchief, even though she hasn't eaten anything. Something she definitely learned from Real Housewives. I swear. Then she hits me with, well, that's different. They are my children, and they are still establishing themselves in life. Tyler is pursuing his content creation career, and Kayla is focusing on her education. I almost laughed out loud. Tyler's content creation career is lip-syncing to trending songs and playing Fortnite on Twitch for a total of 3 viewers. One of them is probably his mother, and the other is probably his alt account. And Kayla's education? The girl has not opened a textbook since freshman orientation. But here's when it gets good. Rachel starts laying out her reasonable rent expectations, $800 per month, in this economy, plus utilities, and with the expectation that I still continue helping around the house. I'm standing there stirring the pasta sauce when something inside me snaps. You know that scene in movies where everything suddenly goes silent and clear? It was like that. All the years of being treated like Cinderella, all the snarky comments, all the extra chores, all the times I had to wash Tyler's crusty gym socks or pick up Kayla's fake lashes from the bathroom floor. It all hit me at once. So I turned off the burner. Safety first. I set down the spoon and stared Rachel dead in her over-Botoxed expression. Let me get this straight, I say, my voice strangely calm. Tyler, who hasn't earned a single dollar since graduation and spends his days yelling at 12-year-olds on Xbox, doesn't have to pay rent. Kayla, who maxes out her credit cards, buying Shein hauls, and has never touched a vacuum in her life, doesn't have to pay rent. But I do? Rachel's face twitches strangely, which is probably because Botox is interfering with her facial muscles. She starts talking about how I'm more established, how family helps family, and other nonsense she probably saw in some Facebook mom group. That was when I decided to detonate my own bomb. But first, I summoned everyone to the dining room. I told Rachel I wanted to talk about this because her family was using deceptive tactics against her. Haha. Tyler complained about leaving his game, while Kayla behaved as if getting off the couch was physical torture. But eventually, everyone was seated at the table. I didn't care that the pasta was cold by that point. I had already lost my appetite. Rachel starts explaining her plan to everyone, acting like she is the CEO. Tyler is smirking, probably thinking about how he can spend his allowance on more V-Bucks now that I'll be paying the bills. Kayla is recording everything for her private story. The girl loves drama as long as it doesn't involve her. And that is when I did it. That's when I said the words that changed everything. I'm not paying rent because this house belongs to me. The silence after that was immediate, like dead silence. I honestly wish I had recorded it, or at least taken a picture of their faces, because it was like I had just started speaking a completely different language. Tyler literally froze mid-bite. Fork in the air, spaghetti sliding off it back onto his plate. Kayla's jaw dropped, like actually dropped. I don't think I had seen a real expression on her face in years, but Rachel, oh my God, her face just stopped. You know that loading wheel when your computer freezes? Yeah, that was her face. Her brain just could not process what I had just said. And then they all started laughing, like full-on laughing. Good one, Tyler snorts, with pasta sauce literally dripping down his chin. Did you get that from TikTok or something? Kayla already has her phone out, probably thinking this is going to be great content for her relatable family moment series that gets like 50 views. Rachel tries to laugh too, but I can see it. That tiny flicker of panic. She gets that same look she has when her card gets declined at Nordstrom Rack, which apparently happens more often than you'd think. What are you talking about? She says, trying to sound dismissive. But her voice is shaking. This house is mine and your father's. And that's when it gets really good. I lean back in my chair, trying to keep that calm, steady tone, and I say, "Why don't you call Dad?" Her fake nails start tapping against her phone screen so fast I thought she might crack it. Honestly, I kind of hope she would, because guess who would have to fix it? She puts the call on speaker. Of course she does. She loves having an audience when she thinks she's about to win. The phone rings a few times before my dad answers. He sounds tired, like he's actually been working, while his stepson is building a brand. Rachel immediately switches to that sweet fake voice. "Mark," she says, like she's trying to get a hotel upgrade. "Lucy is telling some very interesting stories about the house. She says it belongs to her. That's not true, right?" And then silence. Real silence. You could literally hear my dad clear his throat. He always does that when he's uncomfortable. Then finally, "Well, actually, my in-laws put the house in Lucy's name before they passed away." Boom. Rachel's face changes color, like a mood ring, red, then white, then this weird green shade I didn't even know was possible. "What do you mean they put it in her name?" She practically screams. "When were you planning to tell me this?" "I didn't think it was that important," my dad says quietly. Of course, classic dad move. "Not important." Rachel is already on her feet, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You didn't think it was important to tell me that your daughter owns our house?" She hangs up on him mid-sentence. The phone hits the table so hard I thought the screen might crack. Honestly, still kind of hoped it would. Tyler isn't laughing anymore. At all. He's gone pale. Because it finally hits him. The gaming room. The one he told me to stay out of. Is mine. Kayla is still holding her phone, but her face, complete shock. Like a deer in headlights. You can practically see her TikTok drafts deleting themselves. And Rachel, she's breathing hard. Like she just ran a marathon in those fake designer heels. She's trying to pull herself together. "Well," she says, trying to sound calm and completely failing, "this has clearly been a misunderstanding. Of course you don't have to pay rent. Let's just forget this conversation ever happened. But here's the thing. I didn't want to forget. I was done forgetting, done ignoring everything they had put me through, done being the family doormat, done letting them live rent-free in my house while treating me like their maid. So I smile and I say, "Oh, we're definitely not forgetting this conversation." In fact, I pause for a second. I think it's time we have a serious conversation about your living situation. And the look on her face was better than any Christmas gift I have ever received. The next morning, I'm about to go downstairs for breakfast, and I hear Rachel's voice coming from the kitchen. She's on the phone with my dad, on speaker, of course. And you will not believe what she's saying. She is literally trying to convince him to get me out of the house. My house. Mark, you need to do something about this, she says. Your daughter is causing problems. My dad sounds exhausted. What do you want me to do, Rachel? And then she says it. Well, what about those out-of-state colleges she applied to? You could encourage her to go to one of those. Tell her it would be good for her independence. I swear, this woman is actually trying to ship me off to another state so she can keep living in my house. Rent-free. But wait, it gets worse. Honestly, she continues, I'm worried about her mental health. All this anger she has, it's not healthy. Excuse me? The only thing affecting my mental health is living with you. And then, my dad says something that actually makes my stomach drop. Maybe you're right, he says. I'll talk to her about it. It might be better for everyone. I literally had to bite my hand to stop myself from screaming. My own father. The man I've lived with my entire life. The man I helped after my mom died. The man I cooked and cleaned for. Was now agreeing to try to push me out of my own house. So I do what any sane person would do. I walk into the kitchen like I didn't hear anything. Rachel almost drops her phone when she sees me. She's standing there in her silk robe, holding that world's best mom mug her kids probably got from a dollar store. Good morning, sweetie, she says, like she wasn't just plotting against me. I made coffee. No, she didn't. She put a pod in the machine I bought with my Starbucks money. But okay, Tyler walks in, looking half asleep. Kayla follows, already camera ready. We all sit down. At the table, the tension is so thick you could cut it. Tyler is scrolling TikTok. Kayla is taking pictures of her food. Rachel is pretending to read emails, but I can see it. She's actually Googling something, probably how to evict someone who owns the house. So I decide to have a little fun. Hey, Rachel, I say casually. I was thinking about what you said yesterday. She perks up immediately, like she thinks I'm about to give in. You're right, I say. People who live here should pay rent. The relief on her face lasts about 2 seconds. Based on current market rates, I continue, I think $1,200 per person is fair. That's $3,600 total for you, Tyler and Kayla. Utilities not included, and there will be a security deposit. Chaos. Absolute chaos. Tyler nearly chokes on his cereal. Kayla drops her phone, and Rachel looks like she's about to pass out. You can't be serious, she says. We're family. Oh, I'm very serious, I say. And since we're talking about family, I pull out my phone, and I play the recording. The one from this morning, where she tried to get rid of me. Her face goes completely white. You recorded me? She screams. That's illegal. Actually, I say calmly, one-party consent. And also, I look around the kitchen. My house. My rules. She starts pacing, talking about lawyers, threatening, panicking. Then she switches again, soft voice, fake concern. Lucy, I understand you're upset. Maybe some time away would be good for you. There's this college. No, I cut her off. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. And if anyone's leaving, it's not going to be me. That's when she loses it completely, starts screaming, calling me names, saying she raised me, saying I'm destroying the family. What family? Tyler starts yelling about how he's not paying anything. Kayla starts crying about how my dad loves them more. I just sit there, drinking my coffee, watching everything fall apart. Then Rachel grabs her phone and calls my dad again, expecting him to fix everything. Like always. But this time, it's different, because I already told him everything, sent him the recording, explained everything. And when he answers, he actually backs me up. Rachel, he says, we need to respect that it's her house. Maybe we should start looking for another place. Silence. Again. But this time, it's different. This time it's fear. Real fear. Because now she knows. It's over. And then she makes the biggest mistake of all. She gets in my face and threatens me. Says she'll make my life hell. Perfect. Because I recorded that too. And I had already talked to a lawyer. Turns out, threatening the legal owner of the house is not a great idea. So yeah, after everything that happened, I didn't wait. I didn't argue. I didn't try to work it out. I went nuclear. The very next day, I had them served. Real eviction papers, official, court approved. The look on Rachel's face when she got handed those papers, I swear, I wish I had framed it. She actually tried to refuse them, like physically stepped back and said she wasn't taking anything, as if that somehow meant it didn't count. It still counted. Tyler completely lost it, like instantly. He started yelling, stormed upstairs, and dragged his entire gaming setup halfway down the stairs, and somehow managed to break his chair in the process. Honestly, felt right. Kayla went full meltdown mode, crying, screaming, talking about how this was unfair. At one point, she literally went live on Instagram, like full breakdown. Mascara, tears, everything. I think she gained a couple hundred followers from it. So, good for her, I guess. And Rachel? Rachel completely spiraled. First denial, then anger, then panic. She called lawyers, all of them. But here's the thing. In a small town, people talk. Fast. After the first couple told her she didn't have a case, word spread. Even her lawyer cousin suddenly wasn't available. Then she tried social media. Posted this long dramatic story about how her ungrateful stepdaughter was throwing her family out on the street. Yeah, that backfired. Badly. One of my mom's old friends jumped into the comments with screenshots, stories, receipts, years worth of stuff. Turns out, people had noticed everything the whole time. They just never said anything until now. And after that, her friends started disappearing. Real fast. Funny how that works. Meanwhile, inside the house, it was quiet. Weirdly quiet. No yelling, no TV blasting all day, no passive-aggressive comments, no 3 a.m. screaming from Tyler's gaming sessions, just peace. Actual peace. I turned Tyler's room into my office, and for the first time ever, I actually liked being in there. Kayla's room? Closet. Finally. Rachel's meditation room? Now my yoga space. Which is ironic, because now it's actually calm. But here's where it gets crazy. A few days before they were supposed to leave, Rachel tried one last move. While I was at work, she tried to take my mom's jewelry, the stuff my grandparents left for me. She literally started packing it, putting it into her bag like no one would notice. Except, I had cameras, so I saw everything in real time. I called the police, filed a report, showed them the footage. She tried to play it off, said she was just moving things. Yeah, that didn't work at all. So now, it's officially documented, which helped even more with the eviction. When the final day came, they had no choice. Everything got packed, moved out with a sheriff there. Rachel tried arguing, tried saying I damaged her stuff. The deputy literally pointed at the cameras and asked if she wanted to file a false report. She got quiet real fast. So yeah, they're gone, all of them. And now the house feels different. No tension, no stress, no walking on eggshells, just quiet. Tyler had to get a job, an actual job. Kayla's whole online image kind of fell apart. And Rachel, she ended up staying with her sister. 2-bedroom apartment, from what I heard, not going well. At all. And me? I finally have my space back. My home, my life. My mom's friend moved in for a while, so I'm not alone. She's been helping me fix things, cooking, teaching me my mom's recipes, bringing back pieces of what I lost. And honestly, that's probably the best part. And my dad? He still calls sometimes. He's still with her. For now. But he sounds different. Like he finally sees it, everything. Was I harsh? Maybe. Do I regret it? No, not even a little. Because at the end of the day, they pushed too far, and this time they finally paid for it.